Well, I finally got a chance to see Godzilla minus one. And, make a long story short, the hype is real. This is an excellent film. And when it came to Godzilla, almost every time, every time, hey, what's your favorite Godzilla movie? And I always said it was the first one. In that it's straight on monster movie. And that's it. You know, the big monster attacks, they got to figure out what to do and all of that. As far as those aspects goes, that's what you have here. But coupled with a human story that is brutally true to form in it, in the crushing power of guilt and the pain of loss. And a lot of times when I approach horror movies, I always come back, and that's what this is. But I approach it to that the ultimate horror is sadness, because even though you survive, you're still left with all that loss, and it certainly in this case the crippling guilt that the main character deals with. And it's very well performed and all of that. The ending, maybe I could see where it's hey, that's a little too sweet. But it's like, the poor guy, you know. And I did expect him to survive, but also the happy ending that he gets. Because he had every reason in the world to believe the worst in that situation. However, even then I thought, wait a minute. How did they really know? Did they find? Yeah. So I'm trying hard not to spoil anything. I mean, I did tiptoe around what events were, other than the obvious you could expect of Godzilla tears up cities and stuff. And then just the look of it and everything, and the reports that this was done on the cheap. I mean, they say under $15 million, which in today's era of the big production for movies, especially movies of this genre, you know, it'd be at the least $200 million. You know, so this really does put Hollywood to shame. Looking at this and seeing how well crafted it is. And of course the incredible added bonus of just a compelling story and all of that, and pulls it off very easily and puts them all to shame. I mean, at this point I have to conclude there's a little more than just incompetence, but some shenanigans going on. I mean, how much money laundering is going on in Hollywood, because because you don't really see it, you know. There's like Ant-Man and Quantumania and all that, and it's just, why does it cost that much, you know? So anyway, lessons aplenty here, but also the compelling human story here is interesting, because one of the big complaints from MonsterVerse movies, which is that other Godzilla franchise that he shares with King Kong and the like, and the Titans and all that sort of thing, which is more akin to a redo of the stories that developed out of Godzilla after it was initially this monster movie, you know. And then all the stories and whatnot, and Godzilla's actually a good guy, and all this type of stuff. It plays out in the MonsterVerse narrative. But the human stories were always seemingly a drag on it, you know, and everybody just, look, I just want to see the monsters tear stuff up, you know. Well, yeah, but there needs to be something of a story. And so I understand why they do it. They just don't do it very well. Whereas here, you've got this drama that in and of itself, you know, just this poor guy struggling with his guilt and everything. To come out, but here comes Godzilla. It gives him an opportunity. Whereas in a real life story, getting his life together, I guess, you know, sort of thing like that. But it's all well performed, you know, and they're believable in this this atmosphere that they're in. And so, it's a period piece, of course. It's, right on the cusp of World War II, and didn't live in the era, but it looks all very convincing. Even a nod to how do you say it? Specialized planes and whatnot that they were developing at the time, and all that sort of stuff. So, cool things all around in and of itself, and just a fantastic film. And so it's hyped up for a reason, because it's that good. And just for its own sake and its triumphs and whatnot, but it's also a powerful lesson for the foolishness, and I suspect some shenanigans of Hollywood and what it's done to itself, where we're now in a state where major studios are in dire straits. I mean, Warner Brothers is in serious trouble, which is what distributes the MonsterVerse movies, and then Disney, of course, would be in the same boat if it were if it only was a movie studio. They'd be in terrible trouble. But they're backed up in their theme parks, which are also in trouble. But still, they've got a lot more assets to rest on and not fear the reaper, as it were. Whereas Warner Brothers has to look for a buyer at this point, I would think. So, but still, it's foolish decisions and just spending money like it's water, and all for naught, because you see something like this and you've got to look for skill and talent and someone who knows how to craft a film and make it look so good, and on the cheap, where you're guaranteed a profit, because you didn't burn the money on this thing. To where you have to hit billions of dollars just to break even, that's unsustainable. You can't do that. But here you have people who are skilled, not in just storytelling and art and all of that, but also maintaining budgets and what have you. And it's unnecessary. You don't have to burn that much money to achieve these spectaculars. So keep your eye on, and I'm sorry, I'd get his name all messed up, but you can look it up, the director and all, who says he wants to do a Star Wars film. And I'm sure he could knock it out of the park, provided he's left to do one. But unfortunately, speaking of incompetence and shenanigans, Star Wars is so very low as a franchise these days. But a talent like him, could do wonders with that, I'm sure, and keep the cost down. But probably better if he did something else, and be interesting to see what comes out of this director in the future. I'm sure there's already wanting another. I mean, there's going to be Godzilla films forever, but whether it would be a direct sequel to this, probably more than likely. Yeah, I would think so. So there's always the worry that, well, it kind of takes away from what you've achieved in this single film, and that's always the case in these things. But Godzilla films are Godzilla films, and so I would be looking forward to that and give it a shot. But certainly, whatever other project this guy wants to work on is worth keeping an eye on. So anyway, there you go. Godzilla -1.